Welcome to How to Rock the Stage Show, a show committed to equipping you to hone your media skills better to stand out from the crowd as a go-to expert in your field. Each week, Rich Bontrager interviews top leaders, influencers, authors, speakers, podcasters, and media professionals about how to leverage media best to help you shine brighter on camera and stage as a go-to expert. Now, here's your host, The Trigger, Rich Bontrager.
Welcome back to How to Rock the Stage Show, streaming live on multiple channels Wednesday night, and it's great to have you back with us here again. Again, our brand promise to help you shine on camera and shine on stage. We're here to help you elevate you and your brand authority by having amazing guests. And we cover the gamut from media, the TV, the actors to authors. And tonight we're going to get back into the author conversation. I love working with authors because they're creators, but they're also getting more hungry. They'll learn about branding, marketing, and how to expand their media reach. So we're going to have a great conversation about that here tonight. We do want to mention and thank our sponsors that make this possible to bring Rock the Stage to you. I love working with the National Speakers Association. The NSA is celebrating 50 years. In fact, starting tomorrow, people will be flying into Orlando where they're going to have their 50-year anniversary celebration coming up this weekend. Thank you to the National Speakers Association for partnering with us to make the Rock the Stage show possible. Also, Avita Studios is our latest partner, and Avita Studios is powering the audio version of the Rock the Stage show. Avita's experienced team, paired with the state-of-the-art remote recording processes, brings your message to the market even faster. They work with you to produce your audio books, your audio podcasts, distribute it to a larger market. And for more information to learn about this, contact Audavita, audavita.com. We are in for a great show tonight. Again, we are going to be talking about authorship and about how to really not just be an author, not just write a book. That's great. That's wonderful. But more, it's about the brand. Who are you? And how do you grow that awareness? Larissa Soehn is an international best-selling author, CEO of Next Page Publishing. As the company's founder, Larissa's mission is to help aspiring authors unleash the power of their books on the world and use them to grow the businesses as well. As a mom to a beautiful little girl, her goal is to set an example for her daughter that they can be both proud of as well. And so she's a writer, an author, a mother, all around great gal. Welcome, Larissa, to Rock the Stage Show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
This is great. Thanks for taking the time to be here tonight. And so tonight you're not playing mom, you're playing CEO tonight.
Yeah, I put on my fancy jacket and took off the crayon hat and put on something a little fancier.
So how did you get into authorship? Let's talk there before we get into your coaching, your expertise. But how did you become an author?
I think this is such a good question because it lends to your theme of Rock the Stage. My story is what sells me and my book. So thank you for that opportunity to share a bit of my story. I actually published my first book back in 2021. It's a sci-fi book. And I was on the tail end of some pretty big health issues. And I wasn't working at the moment and I had a lot of time to kill. And I turned to writing as a way to escape my reality and step into someone else's for a little while. So I created worlds and galaxies and aliens and wars. And, I just stepped out of where my reality kind of sucked at the moment. And then I published my book, and this is where my story kind of gets a little sad. My book published was sad. My launch was sad, and I was really disappointed. And it didn't, when you're an aspiring author, you build up this moment in your head where it's going to be huge and exciting and everything is going to go good for you. And then you launch and it flops.
So you had the failure to launch thing.
I had the failure to launch, yes. And, Matthew McConaughey was not in my story, if you were familiar with that movie, unfortunately. But what I did learn was how to do it better. And where my passion came from for starting my publishing house was that I didn't want anybody else to spend hours and put their dreams into this book to have it fail the way mine did, to cry because it isn't being seen, to be sad because nobody but your mom has read your book. And I love my mom. It's the best. But I wanted more for it, right? I had put so much into it, time, energy, resources into this book. To have it fail was heartbreaking. So I stepped back about 6 months later and I said, how can I do better? How can I do better for the aspiring authors? How can I do better for myself? And so I founded the publishing company.
So when you get into this, and again, I've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs, leaders. I do book launch parties. You and I have talked about that. And I love to work with all the different genres, but the one particular one with leaders, influencers, CEOs, they want to write a book that's going to highlight them and their expertise. You really specialize and help them realize it's not just the book, it is the brand awareness. That's also a big part of the planning stage. Talk about that. How do you help them kind of create that brand awareness?
Entrepreneurs are such a special breed because they are hungry for in a lot of different ways. And some people are hungry for money, and that's cool. That's great. Some people are hungry for the speaking stage, like your audience is. They want to be on stages. They want to spread their message even further. Some people are just hungry for connection and growth. They are just there to change the world for the better, to impact people's lives. And what I found with when I was stepping into the entrepreneur world is that nobody was talking about the different types of hunger. Nobody was talking about all the different reasons in there. All the business coaches and all the people are like, it's all ROI. It's all earn your money back. It's all scale up, get big, get fast. And none of it was talking about how do I, as an entrepreneur, grow in a way that's comfortable for me. So I stepped back and I looked at the different types of entrepreneurs. And I said, if these, 3 categories were to write a book, what would they want to get out of it? How would it represent their brand? And it came down to very unique things in their books. Some of them were extremely story eccentric. That was what they wanted to be in their book. Some of them were extremely knowledge like central. That's what they wanted to do. And so I started to build my programs, talk to aspiring authors. What is it that you would need to walk away with something that you would be able to use in your brand, that represented your brand? And I'll pause. Go ahead. You look like you want to say something.
Because I'm thinking you're already going down the train track, but I want to take you back one step.
Yeah.
When you talk to them about the brand, because I've worked with a lot of these entrepreneurs, they're thinking about their company. They're thinking about the dollars and cents, like you said. They're thinking about the startup factor. And a lot of them, they're not thought about creating a brand presence. They're creating a company, but not a brand. And when I drive them through that, I talk them through it, they begin to realize it's not the mission statement. It's not the logo. I'm the brand. I'm the expert. Do they stumble over that? Do they miss that when you start walking through them? Or do they get it quicker than some of the people I've worked with maybe?
It totally depends on that hunger, right? Those that are looking to connect and get on stages, they quite often know that their story is the brand. And that's what they want to put into the book. That's what they want to build on. But the people that are maybe just in it for the money, just looking at bottom dollar, like you said, the cents and the pennies and the dollars, they are missing that component of your story. Like you asking the question, what's my story? How did I get into this? Is the opening to every interview you should ever have, because that is what is your brand. And that's what we bring into the books is we marry your story with your expertise. And that's why we're so different than business coaches that talk about ROIs and bottom lines and social media platforms, because we really care about your story and we want to weave that in.
So let me just ask you, because people have their own version of what an author is. From your perspective, what is an author?
An author is anyone that's willing to tell their story and share their expertise in the written format. That would be my definition of an author. And that can be blogs, that can be social media posts, that can be articles on LinkedIn, it can be books. But that to me would constitute as a written author. Now there are authors of audio and video as well. But in my world, we're talking books, written media.
So they come to you and say, I have an idea. And again, having all my experiences, some of them have it fleshed out. Some of them have a thumbnail. Some literally have this big grand idea and they have no idea how to chunk it out and build it. So you have someone come to you and say, hi, I'm an entrepreneur. I want to write a book about XYZ. Larissa, where do I start?
It's such a good question, and it's usually the most overwhelming people face is that they have this dream, and for a lot of people writing a book is a dream. It is something they have wanted for a long time. I have worked with people that since childhood, their teachers have been telling them they need to write a book. Like it is astronomical, the people that come to me, but the problem is the overwhelming idea of writing the book. So where do you start? Good question. The best place to start is to know your audience. Who is it that you're writing to, and what do they need to hear in the moment to get to wherever they want to be? So what are their hopes, their fears, their desires? And what I always coach people on in the very early stages, and this is something we do together in the first week, is understand who your ideal reader is understand where they are and where they want to be, and how you solve that gap, how your offer comes in and solves that problem. How is your book going to change their world?
Now, I want to jump in for a second because Jan's got a question coming in. And thanks, Jan, Aaron, the others that are streaming along. The chat box is always open. But she wants to know, does this also apply to children's books and the other genres? Is it a similar process or different?
Jan, you are a woman after my soul, because look what I have here. My 2 children's books that I've been working on. It does apply to children's books because it's only slightly different, because you're actually catering to 2 people when you're in children's books. You're catering to the child and then the person that's usually reading them the book, which is the parent, the caregiver, the teacher. And with true children's books, like the 0 to, let's say, 8, where they usually are having someone read the book with them at very least, you need to understand what it is they're going to get out of that book. And sometimes it's just pure entertainment. They want to laugh, they want to giggle, they want to smile. I had one of my videos, or one of my books has a cat wearing a sweater, and it is a crowd hit. Like, the kids love it. But then you have to understand, what is the behavior of the person buying the book? What is it that they want to get out of the book? And more parents are becoming socially aware. They want something out of the book. They want some sort of lesson, some sort of learning for their child, so that they feel like it's productive time. So with children's books, it's actually understanding your 2 buyers.
Life application stuff. A lot of it is an illustration, a story, but they're going to extrapolate a life application or historical data, historical experience, even though it may be wrapped up in a science fiction adventure. You're still going to learn things, which I know you put in some of your books, right? You put some little historical facts in some of your books, right?
I do, yeah. All of my books have a twist. My children's books in particular are all centered around social issues, depression in mothers, racial concerns, just the struggles of being a parent or caregiver. They all have an underlying message to them. And that is the trick of understanding who you're talking to, is what is it that they really are looking for, so that you can artfully layer it in.
So they come to you, they come with the idea, and then you start listening to it. Do they write the outline? Do you work with them on the outline? What kind of support do you give them as they're beginning to get into the flow of what you want to do here?
Yeah, every author is a little bit different, and that's why I love what we do. And I just recorded another episode this morning talking about why Next Page Publishing is different, is because when you come to us, it's not cookie cutter. We will not plunk you into a program and say, follow this strict routine, because you and your book deserve better than that. You don't work that way. Our brains don't work that way. And it's a recipe for failure. It's a recipe for you being upset that you bought into this program that is a group coaching, and you're moving at the pace of the slowest person. We don't do that. We take you one-on-one and we walk you through the process. So some people come to us and they, like you said, they have their outline. They know exactly what they want to say. They just want to get to the writing. They just want someone to hold them accountable and do the writing. And then others struggle a little bit more with the outline. I have a current client and her story is massive. And when she came to me, that was her number one problem. I don't know where to start. So
Mhm.
for her, we're actually not starting with the outline. We're starting with the biggest moment in time that she needs to get off of her chest and write about.
Oh,
Yes.
that's interesting to me. I've never heard of them say, let's pluck the big ones off and build around it.
Yes. Well, a good story starts with a bang,
Yeah.
right? That's how you start. That's how you hook the readers and they want to know more is because you start with the action. And so when people ask me, like, how do I create the outline? I need them to understand if the outline is the right place to start for them because it might not always be.
Very, very interesting. Some authors and coaches I know start with the end in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, again, I've talked to have said, I want to have like 3 big bang experiences, stories, something when it comes to entrepreneur books. Like, what are your 5 big takeaways you want? What are your main core chapters? So every book is different, as Jan is saying here in the chat right now. The books are all different. So you have different structures, different plans. Cookie cutter does not work, does it?
No, it doesn't. And it's a disservice to buy into something that's trying to make you cookie cutter because we know if we do the same thing as everyone else, we will never stand out ever. And again, that's a heartbreaking process because you are going to pour a lot of time and energy into this book. Partnering with the right people right off the bat is so important. And yes, Jan is absolutely right. Every book is different, which is why I'm not actually going to answer your question with the 5 big chapters that every book has to have.
Good for you.
Because to answer that question means that some author out there is going to say, well, my book doesn't have that. It must be a bad book. And that's not the case. Every book is different and every book has an audience.
So I've worked with authors extensively. I've done some behind the scenes film projects. Often I story build. I'm visioning first. I see the story, I see the many scenes, and I'll even storyboard. Is there a place for that with the books you design and work with, or is that kind of old school now?
No, everybody's mind is different. I have clients that talk their ideas really, really well, and they need those 45 minutes every week session to just talk through the storyboard in their head,
Yeah,
right? Like where are
yeah.
they going? What's coming next? How do they say it? And then we have the clients that like the written format of like type it out, sketch it out. That is still very much in style, and that there's terms for that. There's the planner, which is what you're talking about right now, and then
Mhm.
there's a pantser, which is a terrible name for someone that just flies by the seat of their pants. I don't get it, but it's an industry term, and every time I see it, I'm like, why does that have to be there?
Is that for people that are streaming along today? Is that for people that just say, I'm just going to get it out of me? I'm just going to fly by the seat of my pants, hack, 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 hack,
Yeah.
and then we're going to put the pieces back together?
Yeah. And, another common question I get is like, okay, well, which one's better? Obviously, a planner must be better, right? Like, clearly that's got to work better. It doesn't. It totally depends on the personality style of the author. In my sci fi books, full out pantser. I think I would really struggle to be a planner. And that's why I'll never say one is better than the other. Because if I say, well, you need to be a planner if you're going to be a successful author, all of my pantsers out there are going to go, well, then I can't be a successful author. I
Ah,
I can't even imagine planning out my books. It is exhausting sounding. It drains me. It makes me question everything I'm doing. I obviously can't be a successful author.
Jan says
It's heartbreaking. Yeah, I see Jan's. Or sorry, you go
a half
ahead.
and half. Oh, sorry. So she's kind of a half and a half now. She's kind of a part planner, just going for it.
Yeah.
Now, again, working with authors and again, the entrepreneur star books, do you want the end in mind? And I'm not talking about the book end in mind, but I'm talking back to the branding. What success do you, what does it mean to you? What does it look like for success? A lot of people don't know what they're getting into because it used to be sell a book, make tons of money. Maybe sometimes getting a talk show, maybe sometimes going on a book tour, but everyone's version of success does impact their brand, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I feel like, Rich, you maybe had your hands in my course because this is step 2 of what we do in my course. The first is figure out your audience. The second is figure out what's in it for you, your brand, and your reader. And it's really important to look at the 3 elements because as you progress throughout your writing, What often happens is writers will get through their outline if they're the planners and that's what they need to do. They'll start writing, they'll get to that midway point, and then they will burn out. And it's because they don't have the fundamentals of why they started in the first place. What is it that they're hoping to achieve with this book? It's the dream, right?
Yeah.
It's the dream that you're shooting for.
And everyone's dream is different. By the way, Aaron's chiming in here. And again, he's a stroke survivor, amazing man, super story, but he's got the dream of doing it. But again, even those stories are fantastic to relive, to share real practical experiences. And it doesn't have to be a straight autobiography, right? It can be a story, an illustration. There's so many different ways to even bring those type of things alive, right?
Absolutely. I'm just reading Aaron's comment. And Aaron, yes, your story is a huge part of that media empire that you're looking to build. People buy stories, not product. They buy connection, they don't give a crap what your course contains. They want to know what you're going to get them and what is the connection they have with you. That is what sells.
Well, and let me add into that, because you and I talked about this the other day, was more and more people are reading the books, and the books are great, but they're really wanting to get to know the author. Yeah. And with Aaron's illustration of his own life, it's not just Aaron the author. It's not just Aaron the experience. It is Aaron the entrepreneur, the media guy, but it's Aaron the personality, which he has a great personality. People really want to know authors now, not just their product, right?
They do. And it's very interesting. There's kind of two buying behaviors that are happening in our world right now. One is people want to know the story, and they want to know the author before they buy the book. They need to know that they're going to like the writing, they're going to like the story. But then there's the other side, and these people still very much exist. I'm one of these people. I will buy your content first before I invest in your interviews and before I look at your social media content, because I want to know what your vibe is like through your writing. I like to read. I actually really enjoy audiobooks. And so my buying behavior is I want to buy your book. I want to get to know your story. And then I want to see if it's worth connecting with you further. And what this does in a person like my mind is it puts you into a celebrity status. And this is where that own your authority comes in.
Yes.
In my mind, you have written a book. You must be wildly rich and famous. And you have a story to tell. I like your voice. I like your tone. I can relate to your experiences. I want to know you. And that's why working with entrepreneurs is so special, is because we build that celebrity status in your ideal client's mind so that when they get to you, they want to work with you.
That's one of the biggest changes that I've worked on. I'm on the media side. I'm trying to get them exposure. I'm coaching them on camera presentation, because they are shifting now from the book to I'm the guy that wrote the book. I'm the gal that wrote the book. I'm the genius behind the book that you love. And that's a whole new stage to literally step onto for a lot of people. And that's where the end in mind, I think, is so important. Do they want to get on stage, get the interviews? Do they want to have an audio novel? It's more layers now than just a book, isn't it?
It is. And that comes back to that hunger. Again, what is it that you, as the entrepreneur, as the business owner, want out of your brand and your book? That's what we need to hone in on, because if it's you want speaking engagements, then we're going to position you with your media, with your marketing plan, so that hosts are eager to work with you. We're going to get you that title of best-selling author, because Rich, I know this as a host myself. When someone comes to me as an international best-selling author, I'm like, you have street cred that my audience is going to connect with.
Yes.
You're one step closer to being in my door because of that. But if it's to foster connections, if that's the goal of your book, is to get your book in the hands of your ideal client, we're going to work really hard on probably affiliate marketing. That's where we're going to focus our energy to get you in front of new audiences. If your plan is you just want to make your money back and 5 times your business, cool. I'm all there for that. I'm a business gal. Let's talk money. If that's your goal, then we're going to talk about how you leverage your book to make more sales. to find those ideal clients that are willing to pay you. We're going to talk about upping your prices because hell, you're an international best-selling author now. You deserve to be paid like an international best-selling author.
Yes.
It depends on where your hunger lies, what we do with your book.
So we've kind of broken this down, but now let's get back to like Aaron and many others. I want to write a book. How can we help them move from wanting to action to move into, here's a practical step to start with. Here's a great next opportunity for you. Where do they begin with getting it out of here and out there?
I'm going to go kind of the boo answer on this.
And you're killing me tonight. Come on.
I know, because I don't want to give you one shot at anything because it's so dependent on the person. And I see Aaron and Jan and all these wonderful people in the comments. I don't want any of them to stick to one thing just because that's what I said. What I do want you to do is understand your why. Why do you want to write this book? And what's your life look like when your book is out? That is really important. What are you going to do with it in your brand? How are you going to use it? How's it going to change your life, your finances, your relationships? I just had a client who, when I asked her why she wanted to write this book, she's like, I want to stick it to my mom. Like, I want to show my mom that I can do hard stuff and that I know what I'm talking about. If that's your why, her motivation was, as soon as she said that, way up the chain. Because she understood her why. It wasn't there was no more excuse of like, oh, I don't have time. I don't have the energy. It's like the result of telling my mom I can do this, it outweighs any excuse I could ever have.
I love that. As we continue, I'm going to drop in 2 important links. You do have social media. You want people to connect with you. So I'm going to drop these in the chat for everyone to grab a hold of this. But what is the outcomes that make you do what you do? Why are you so passionate about helping others? Because you are a writer, you are an author, you're a mother. Why do you care about everyone else's success?
Because your success is my success. As I heard an amazing quote. Oh, I can't remember what it is. It's basically the people at the top of the food chain are the ones that are collaborating and supporting each other. That's how this world works as entrepreneurs. And so when I had the opportunity to become someone that lifted other entrepreneurs up, gave them the stage to tell their stories and see the growth that I've seen, it's a no-brainer. It is a no-brainer that I want those types of relationships that are built on lifting each other up and sharing stories. Stories make the world.
Speaking about stories, share a success story. You can always change the end to protect the innocent if you want to, but tell us what it's like working with XYZ person and the success they got, the satisfaction they got from finally getting their book out.
I'm going to talk about my client. I don't think he'd mind me using his name. His name's Krister, and he's actually from, I believe, Norway, like other side of the world. Yeah, Krister, right?
We're going to be working together with Krister, everybody.
We
Krister's going to have a
are.
book launch with Rock the Stage Media. So
Yes,
pay attention to this.
He is the perfect person to talk about because when he came to me, he was an interesting buying behavior. He knew what he wanted and he wanted it done right. And when people come to you like that, it puts me on the spot to convince them that I'm going to do it right. And Krister's interesting because he's a mentor. And so his whole goal is he wants to spread the message. That is his goal. He's not in it for the money. He's not really even in it for the speaking stages, a little bit because he wants to spread his message as far as he can. But his goal was to change the lives of people. Put something in their hands that's going to change the lives of people. And every day that we work towards that goal, our conversations move from I want to do this to I will do this. And Rich, you know Krister's personality.
Yes.
He's actually the one that told me I don't use the word dream, I use the word goal. Because a dream without action is nothing. But a goal is something you actually work towards. And it's always stuck with me. I still like the word dream. I like the idea of it's our job to build the dream in the sky and then to build the scaffolding to get up to it. That's when it becomes a goal.
I love that. And again, Rock the Stage Media is working with Krister, and we will have his book launch coming up later this year. You're going to meet him. He's a world traveling guy in a sailboat. He's got dreams, adventure, entrepreneur, great guy. And what a great illustration of someone who's doing it, living it, and is wanting to push further and further out there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So as we head down to the finish line here, I do want to share, you do have a special offer for our viewers here. This is a QR code, and it's going to take you to a special offer. I understand you have boot camps and different things. What is this all about?
This one is, it's a workbook that you can download today. And I apologize for my Pantser friends that this is not your speed. For you, I have a webinar, same place. You go to the website, you can sign up for our free webinar. We're actually hosting it this Monday. So head to nextpagepublishing.net, grab your free seat to the webinar. And that one is much more interactive, and we answer your questions. So if a workbook's not your style, don't scan the QR code, go to nextpagepublishing.net, and we'll meet one-on-one and have a good conversation. But here, this is the workbook to lay out the first 3 steps of your book. It's knowing your audience. It's writing that outline, figuring it out. What are your big takeaways? And the way it's structured, the writing your outline, it sounds overwhelming, but it plays off of knowing your audience, because I'll give you a secret. If you know what your audience's problems are, those are your chapter headers. Especially if you're writing a book to grow your business, which is what we specialize in, those are your chapter headers. Solve their problems, draw them in, change their life. That's your outline right there. So know your audience, write your outline. And then the last one is think like an author. Just imagine that you are already there. Start talking like you're an international best-selling author, because if you start believing it, you're so much more likely to get there.
Look at that. We got support from Jan. She went out and Googled it, grabbed it, got it, or even cut and pasted for what we dropped in earlier. Thank
Jan,
you, Jan,
I love
for
you.
playing along. That's a great point to kind of wrap up and wind down here tonight is, when you start writing, when you start getting into this, you are an author, whether it's been published, not published, whether it's in the works, you are an author now. And it is a mental shift to start saying, who are you? What do you do? Well, I'm an author. Mm-hmm. Saying that out loud and telling people is a big game changer, isn't it?
It is. And one of the things that we do with my authors, I know we're wrapping up, is I make them go live about 2-3 weeks into our program, and we announce to the world that they're going to be writing a book, because I can hold them accountable all day long. I can send them emails, we can have one-on-ones, but to go out to your community and say, I'm going to be an author, it's next level accountability. It's next level goal setting, because now you are out in public saying, I'm going to be an author.
I love it. Larissa, thank you very much for being here tonight. Thank you for giving all the insights. Again, download that. This will always be on replay. It will also be shared on her social media, our social media. So please participate, follow up, and remember, as we wind down tonight, you are an author. Take the step, go do it. Larissa, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you so much.
Rock the Stage Media streaming every Wednesday night. We do this a wide array of interviews, conversation to help you shine on camera and shine on stage, elevate that brand that we've been talking about tonight. Whether you're an author, whether you're a podcaster, whether you're creating streaming content, we're here every week to help you learn how to do this better and better and better. So keep coming back Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time. We go live. And if you have not checked out the audio podcast of the show, this will go live tomorrow on streaming content. So we're going to download the video, pull off the audio. Our team will take care of putting it up there. Hit the QR code and subscribe and follow. Check out the backlog of shows we have. We've been doing this for over 3 years. We're trying to catch up to the old stuff and put it up there as well. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. So please be a part of this amazing show and the things we're doing to help you learn your craft, learn your trade, and everything that you are doing. So again, we'll be back next week, 7 o'clock Eastern time, for How to Rock the Stage. More amazing guests, insights to help you shine brighter. Have a great night. Thanks for joining us live.